George Clooney remade Ocean's 11, and he said it in World War II.
Want to get into the war?
Monuments, man.
I'm to put a team together and do our best to protect buildings, bridges, and art before the Nazis destroy everything.
How many men? 6. Jesus.
Well, with you at 7.
That's much better.
The Monuments Men was released February 7th, 2014 by Columbia Pictures. It was written and directed by George Clooney, who also stars in the film. In addition to Clooney, this movie has a ton of other stars. Matt Damon, Jean Dujardin, John Goodman, Cate Blanchett, Hugh Bonneville. How could I forget? Bill Murray. No, I'm filming! So the basic premise of this movie is that George Clooney portrays an art professor, and his job is to round up other art people and take them to Europe to help prevent the destruction of priceless artwork. So for instance, in this film, Bill Murray plays an architect who is recruited to join Clooney's group. And the film follows this story from the very beginning to the very end of the war. So as a viewer, we see the whole process of this story coming together. We see the recruitment of the group, their training, and then them actually going over to Europe and protecting artwork right through the end of the war. There was a lot of things I liked about this movie. The cast was exceptional. Everybody played their roles to a T. Also, the cinematography was great. I mean, a lot of it shot in Europe, but it was... Also very good was the score, which was done by Alexander Desplat. Now, he's done some other work in the past, but this is really going to go down as one of his more exceptional works. There were a lot of little individual things I liked. They had some really good montage scenes in this movie, and another thing that I really appreciated was that the story wasn't overly linear. There were some things that one or two scenes things would happen, and they wouldn't really relate to the overall plot, but they sort of made it feel more realistic that they were in a war zone because of what was happening.
If you destroy an entire generation of people's culture, it's as if they never existed.
We got company. Frank, we gotta go!
That's what Hitler wants. And it's the one thing we can't allow.
So we get to shoot some Nazis?
Now, this movie felt very long. It only had a runtime of 118 minutes, which isn't long at all. A good way to think about how this movie is, and you'll understand if you see it, it's sort of like a train that's just departing the station. It takes a while to get going, but once it's rolling, it rolls. For that whole build-up period, you're really kind of wishing that it was going faster. Now, that's not to say I didn't like the first half of this movie or didn't enjoy it. There was a great montage scene of recruiting all the members in the team and everything like that. It was phenomenal. But I just got this feeling of there needs to be something more happening right now. There's also one particular scene that I did not care for at all in this movie. I thought it should have been edited out. Now, there were a lot of other monologues in this movie, which I all thought were very well done, but this first one with Clooney, it just seemed too set up. It felt fake. You couldn't feel the emotion that was supposed to be there. Another point I wish they would have taken a little bit farther was how the story developed. Now, don't get me wrong, I thought the story was very good. However, it seemed like they could have done more with it. It's almost like they purposely kept it simple because they didn't want to complicate the viewer. I think they could have gone way more in depth with some of the things that happened in the story. Also, Saving Private Ryan, this is not. This is not the most realistic depiction of World War II that I've seen on film. Now, I understand that it's not shooting for 100% nitty-gritty realism, but this film feels overly nostalgic. It almost feels like this whole movie could be distilled into some cartoonish painting where one of the main characters is punching Hitler in the face and he's got some art under his arm. Now, none of these complaints are real deal breakers for the film. I did really enjoy this film. And going back to the train analogy, my rating was going up for it as I was thinking about it as the movie progressed. And going back to that train analogy, as the movie started to pick up and the story developed, my rating that I was thinking about in my head also went up. At the beginning of this film, it started out at a B-, and then it moved to a B as more things developed on the screen. So in the end, I'm going to give this movie an A-. There was a couple little complaints I had about it, but overall it was a very enjoyable film.
What have you got?
I seem to have stepped on a landmine.
Why'd you do something like that?
What do you got?
Lieutenant here seems to have found himself on top of an unexploded mine.
Why would you do that?
You all been spending too much time together.
So my question for the day is, do you appreciate George Clooney as a director? In addition to this film, he's directed other things such as Good Luck and Good Night. Leave it in the comments below, let me know what you think. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.